de colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de afuera. De colores es el arco iris que vemos lucir. Son los grandes amores de muchos colores, me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. De colores brillantes y finos se viste la aurora. De colores son los miles de la tesora. De colores se viste el diamante que vemos lucir. Son los grandes amores de muchos colores, me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. De colores blanco y negro, y rojo y azul y castaño. Son colores de gente que ríe y estrecha la mano. Son colores de gente que sabe de la libertad. Grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Canta el gallo con el kiri, 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 kiri. La gallina con el cara, 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 cara. Los polluelos con el pío, 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 pío. Son los grandes amores de muchos colores, me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. The words mean of colors. Of colors, the fields are dressed in the springtime. Colors colors. Small birds that come from so far away. Of colors is the rainbow we are just beginning to see shine. Love of many colors for the world, I also love. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de afuera. De colores es el arco iris que vemos lucir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So nice to see you all, even if it is virtual, and welcome to Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. My name is Kate Walker, and I am honored to serve as your minister. We gather as Unitarian Universalists to celebrate life and love, to find comfort, and to recommit ourselves to care for one another on our spiritual journeys. We strive to care for the earth and to build the common good. And my beloved, it is, as always, so good to be together. We are a community dedicated to welcoming the stranger and working for justice wherever the heavy weight of oppression has dug into the fabric of life. And to that effort, we are countering the doctrine of discovery by naming and honoring the traditional indigenous inhabitants of this land, the Piscataway, the Powhatan, and the Doig, now known as the Talks. And you are encouraged to find an indigenous organization that you want us to support, to put action behind our words. Whether you are new to this community or a longtime member, no matter what propelled you to set aside this time and join in worship, I want you to know that you are welcome here. We especially are welcoming our visitors this morning and your courage to come and try out this new space. You are invited as a visitor. Please stick around. After this service, we will go directly into a social hour for some virtual meet and greet. And if you would like more information about our community, please be in touch with us by sending an email. Send it to info@mvuc.org, info@mvuc.org. So only have one announcement. Today, we are doing our annual flower communion, and we're going to do so by hearing the story about Norbert Čapek, who held the first flower communion in Prague in the early 20th century. Now, please note in the storyteller, this is a video recording, that she provides a lovely version of the story, but she does mispronounce Čapek's name. So please just forgive her and listen to the story. She does a wonderful version of it. If you have a flower to share with us this morning, we'll be given an opportunity to hold it up to the screen after the sermon. And between now and the musical reflection, I invite you to share one word in the chat box just one word about how flowers make you feel. Some people have already begun. So give me one word about how flowers make you feel. And I'm going to take those words and we're going to transform them into an image for your heart and soul so that we can have that exchange of gifts that the flower communion is such a metaphor for. As we begin our service, we invite you to please, we have turned off the microphones and turned off your cameras to allow you to move about without distracting others. At the end of the service, after the postlude, we'll invite you to turn on your cameras so everybody can see each other for a virtual hug and a wave. And for those who need live transcription, there is a button down at the bottom of the screen that you can click to turn that on. I invite you now, take a deep breath with me as we enter into this time of worship. Today, this month, and really every day, we reflect on the theme of forgiveness, an act of love that is often beyond measure. As we peer into our hearts for these moments when we have missed the mark of love and have hurt others, we seek forgiveness. For those times others have missed the mark of love and we have been hurt, we offer forgiveness. We seek to lighten the weight upon our own heart and soul for all the times that we have fallen short of our best self. And we bear witness to when others have fallen short of their best self. May the light of this chalice remind us that the light of love that guides us as we grow into a deeper experience of empathy and connection. For this is how the blessing of forgiveness can be given and received. Let this chalice burn bright in our hearts and souls. Please turn to your order of service for our opening hymn.
Would you turn in your teal hymnals to number 1026? 1026, If Every Woman in the World. Words can be found in the hymnal, on your screen, or in your orders of service.
If every woman in the world had her mind set on freedom, if every woman in the world dreamed a sweet dream of peace, if every woman of every nation, young and old, each generation, held her hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war.
If every man in the world had his mind set on freedom, if every brother stood with brother as his witness for peace, if every man of every nation, young and old, each generation, held his hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every leader in the world shared a vision of freedom, if every leader in the world shared a sweet dream of peace, if every leader of every nation worked for justice and liberation, holding hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war.
If every nation in the world set a true course for freedom, if every nation losing to the enemies, there would be no more war.
I invite you now, from wherever you may be, to bring your voices out in reciting our covenant as the words are found on your screen. Love is the teaching of this church. The quest of truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in community, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. This is our covenant with each and with all.
Come with me as we travel to Prague, Czechoslovakia, in Europe, the year 1923. There was a Unitarian church. Now, the building did not look at all like our church. In fact, it did not look like a church at all. It did not have a tall steeple reaching toward the sky like some churches do. It did not have massive doors carved of wood or windows of stained glass. It did not have a chalice, a piano, or flowers. The church had walls, a ceiling, a floor, a door, a few windows, and some hard wooden chairs. But thankfully, the church had people who came every Sunday, and they were the most important part of the church, because without people, any church is just a building, no matter how tall its steeple. The people of Prague had been through hard times. They had just recently been through 4 years of war. Many people in Prague had been divided about the war. Many had lost loved ones or had been hungry or scared. And even though the war had ended, many bad feelings still remained. The church also had a minister. His name was Norbert Chapek. Reverend Chapek had been the minister of this church for 2 years. Every Sunday he spoke to the people and they listened, sitting quietly on those hard wooden chairs. When he finished speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves, and then they went home. And that was all. No music, no candles, no food. Now, Reverend Chapek, he was a thinker, and he wondered sometimes if there might be something, perhaps just a little something more spiritual. He wrote some songs and the people sang them, and it helped, but something was still missing. The church went on as before. One spring morning near the end of May, as Reverend Chapek was out for a walk, he noticed the birds singing and the flowers blooming and felt the sunshine on his face. How beautiful the world is! And then an idea came to him. The next Sunday, he asked all the people of the church to bring a flower or a budding branch to church the next week. Each person was to bring one. What kind? They asked. What color? What size? You choose, he said. Each of you choose what you like. And so the next Sunday, which felt like the first day of summer, the people came with flowers of all different colors and sizes and kinds. There were yellow and white daisies and red roses, blue asters, dark-eyed pansies, grape hyacinth, pink and purple, orange and gold, all the colors of the rainbow and more. Children helped arrange them and bring them forward to the front of the church. Flowers filled all the vases, and beauty filled their hearts. The church wasn't so plain anymore. They had created beauty together. Reverend Chapek spoke to the people, and they listened, sitting quiet and still in those hard wooden chairs. Those flowers are like us, he said, different colors, different shapes, and different sizes, each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, important, and special in its own way. He said a blessing of the flowers, which called for everyone in the room to see one another as family, despite differences, and to let the spirit of love unite them and help them live more joyfully. He invited each person to take a flower home with them when they left, a different flower than what they had brought. And when the service ended that day, the people turned and talked a little bit more among themselves. And maybe there was some laughter. And then they each chose a flower from the vases before they left and took it home as a gift from their church family. And each year at the start of summer, they did this again.
It's such an important story that we tell every year, again and again, because it reminds us not only of our history, but of our important connection and our beauty of what we mean to each other. It is one of my favorite Unitarian stories from our history. Well, it is time for our offering, and Mount Vernon Unitarian Church continues to share the plate with committed organizations that our members have chosen. Well, for the month of May, this is an organization, a fund that is always with us because it was founded here, and that's the Katie Tyson Fund. This fund began here at Mount Vernon Unitarian Church with the inspiration and the hopefulness and endurance of Karen and Herb Tyson. The fund now resides with the Unitarian Universalist Association, where it offers a really, really important financial support to our Unitarian Universalist youth and young adults for leadership training and spiritual growth. The fund is named in memory of Karen and Herb's daughter, Katie. She was an amazing young adult who was killed too early in a car accident, but she inspired others with her loyalty and her vision and her love of her Unitarian Universalist faith. May we all be inspired by the ministry that Katie gave this community and so many others and continues on from generation to generation. And as always, today we are splitting our offering 50-50 between the Katie Tyson Fund and Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. And unless it's otherwise directed, it will be split. You can write a check and you can mail it right here to Mount Vernon on our Holy Hill. You can pay by text or credit card. There's information in the slide as well as the chat box. I also invite you during this time of music, you are welcome to tenderly name in the chat box or in your heart any of the joys and sorrows that you are holding within your heart and soul. Let the offering begin.
I
May means Mother's Day. I'm going to trust Hallmark and daddies and 6-year-olds and grown-up kids who are mommies themselves to honor mothers amongst all as they deserve to be honored, with brass bands, flying flags, breakfast in bed, and kitchens cleaned up afterwards. I wish for those mothers a memorable day full of love and laughter. Sadly, I don't trust Hallmark to remember the feelings of the women who don't fit Mother's Day in quite the same wonderful way. There are no cards on the rack for the women who gave up children for adoption, never to see them again. No cards for the women who faced the painful and difficult choice to end a pregnancy. No cards for women who desperately want to conceive and bear children and cannot. No cards for women who have lost children of any age, or for the women whose children have abandoned them in anger. There is little consultation for them on a day so full of motherhood. Every year, when a Mother's Day rolls around, I wish there were just a little less hype about traditional motherhood and a little more acknowledgement of not so traditional mothers in our midst. People who come in all colors, shapes, sizes, genders, and ages. And more than anything, I wish there were a lot more empathy for those who suffer because as mothers are being honored, they don't fit in quite the same wonderful way. Let us honor them on this day. Women who conceived, women who bore, women who reared, women who lost, women who let go, women who made different choices, and people of any gender who mother. Happy day. May each of you know your worth to all of us.
Please join me in a few moments of prayer and meditation. Blessed Spirit of love, hear our prayers. As on this day, we offer our gratitude, appreciation, affirmation, curiosity, acknowledgement of all those who have mothered in life. Mothers of all generations, past, our ancestors, mothers of today and mothers of tomorrow. Mothers of multiple genders and identities and colors and beauty. Those who have found within their hearts the capacity to love another unconditionally. We offer our love, our understanding for difficult decisions that have been made through their lives as well as our own. Motherhood is complex, full of difficult decisions and easy decisions in the same breath. For all those who have lost children, for those who have never had the child that they yearned for those who chose to not have children, we know this can be a difficult day. But there is one thing that brings us together on this day of recognizing, affirming, and empowering women and all transgender who want to be a woman so desperately. Let them find their fullness. One thing is we are clear about is that we come together seeking peace, which is what the original Mother's Day intent is all about. That no more children come home in caskets due to war. Great peace of our hearts and minds and bodies lift us up so that we struggle, so we fight, for we make sure that peace descends upon us and all of humanity. Blessed Spirit of love and peace, hear our prayers and know that none of us are on this journey alone. we have the capacity, we have the yearning to connect with one another on this journey. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
An meinem Herzen, an meiner Brust, du meine Wonne, du meine Lust. Das Glück ist die Liebe ist das Glück. Ich hab's gesagt und nimm ihn zurück. Hab übig schwindig merke stets, bin überglücklich, aber jetzt nur der da saugt, nur der da liebt, das Kind dem sie die Nahrung gibt. Nur eine Mutter weiß allein, was Leben heißt und glücklich sein. Oh, wie bedauer ich doch den Mann, der gute Glück den fühlen kann. Du liebe Liebe, du schaust mich an und glücklichst du an meinem Herzen, an meiner Brust. Du meine Wunde, du meine Lust.
Oh my goodness. So much love and beauty today in my heart. I want to share one of my earliest childhood memories. My first bloody nose. I was about 4 years old. I was playing with a friend. She was on the outside of the house on our front porch, and I was on the inside of the house, leaning against the back front window with a screen between the two of us. And we were gently poking at each other's noses. And then, you saw this coming a little too hard. And next thing I know, I had a bloody nose, my first bloody nose. And my mom was right behind me, and she took me into her arms and helped stop the bleeding. And then she just helped me. She just held me as I got accustomed to the reality that a friend could unintentionally hurt me. One of my first painful life lessons, we get these and we continue in large and small doses, these painful life lessons, which empathy can help ease. This early childhood memory of mine helped me connect to a short quote called by Dinah Maria Mullock Craik. She was a white English woman, a novelist and a poet in the 19th century, and she wrote these beautiful words. Oh, the comfort, the inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person, having neither to weigh thoughts nor measure words, but pouring them all right out just as they are, chaff and grain together, certain that a faithful hand will take and sift them. Keep what is worth keeping, and then with a breath of kindness, blow the rest away. End quote. What an incredible quote of empathy. I think Dinah understood empathy just as my mother did. My mother was a rock solid teacher of empathy. I think we need to teach empathy. We need to teach empathy in churches, schools, in coffee shops, driver's ed classes, in sweaty gyms, YMCA, and golds across the country. We should be mentoring and coaching like we do with Pee Wee soccer and baseball so that children learn empathy as quickly as their ABCs and their little feet run toward the goals of life. We should offer brush-up courses on empathy for graduating seniors of all ages. We should set up free, open market parks with comfy seats and empathic human beings. ready to sift through to our brokenness in the inner soft and tender spots where our raw wounds need a place and arms of healing and a breath of kindness. Hear me when I say I am pursuing empathy, not sympathy. Although sympathy might be useful once in a while. The difference between empathy and sympathy is really about the opening of the heart space, a whole lot of space, as wide as the brain will help let us forget our fears. When it comes to understanding empathy versus sympathy, the beloved Brené Brown, she does a good job of distinguishing just what's at stake for the head and the heart. Empathy is about being with someone, not taking responsibility for fixing a problem. Although if there is a stone in one shoe, we can help remove it. Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy is a perspective taking. It's a staying out of the judgment zone. It's a recognition that emotions exist in the other and then communicating our recognition. It can be as simple as saying, hey, it looks like you're sad. So here's the hard part, and you know I always have a hard part for you. We have to connect with our own emotion in order to connect with the other. We have to push past the fears. That's how we grow. And if you don't want to grow, why are you attending church? Sympathy can't connect with the self or the other. It's like going to church and never talking to anyone. Sympathy tends to begin with at least, where we try and make something better. We're trying to make somebody feel better. We're trying to put a silver lining around it. Yeah, don't do that. It minimizes other people's feelings and their experience. Empathy recognizes the need for bearing witness. Accompanying someone is often enough. This is particularly difficult in times of illness or death, when we feel so powerless. Yes, there's physical pain that we need to relieve, and we bear witness. They are equally important. Empathy is about sacred space, honoring it with the gift and the blessing of our presence. Mother's Day reminds me that too often empathy and the intentional and unintentional burden it places on mothers. With all the expectations our culture imposes on mothers, we sometimes forget how this day will impact all those who present and identify as women, who present and identify as men, non-binary or transgender people. How does it impact our children when we consciously and unconsciously delegate empathy to only mothers? Expectations can be too high, that only mothers can be teachers, mentors, guides, and instructors, and all-around experts on empathy. The beautiful words that we heard Tyler offer were written by Katie Crane. She's a Unitarian Universalist minister. And it's a reminder of how often we forget that our own empathy for some people. And this holiday can carry a painful burden. Katie Crane invites us to imagine a less restrictive, less constrictive image of motherhood. Even Mrs. Doubtfire blessed be Robin Williams, who was hysterical, had to present as a cross-dressing, dowdy, grandmother type mother. I think we need less of those traditional, outdated images and portrayals of mothers, and perhaps not always turn to comic relief when we do so. I think despite all the efforts by many women and men, we here in the larger, generally white culture still are fumbling for how to truly learn empathy. Should not leave it to Hallmark cards and flowers. We have so many lessons to learn from our friends who have been too long ignored and ostracized to the margins of our neighborhoods, too long living in pain because they don't have anyone offering empathy for their suffering. And I'm thinking of a beautiful quote by Laverne Cox. She's a Black American actress who became the first transgender person to be nominated for a Primetime Emmy. Orange is the New Black. Laverne Cox wrote, I think trans women and trans people in general show everyone that you can define what it means to be a man or a woman on your own terms. A lot of what feminism is about, she writes, is moving outside of roles and moving outside of expectations of who and what you're supposed to be to live a more authentic life. End quote. Fortunately, we have been challenged by trans folks such as Cox, and years ago, psychologists like Carol Gilligan, who did groundbreaking research on women and girls in the 1980s. They've been continuing to encourage a more authentic stretch of what have been normalized, unchallenged roles. But that crucial piece we're missing is learning to be in touch with our own feelings in order to connect with someone else's feelings. That's the hard work. I found a story that so touched my heart and brought up so many emotions. I'm going to offer this to you and invite you to just sit with the emotions that come up with it. This was written by a woman named Mary Marcdante about her mother, Grace Rose. Mary said that when she was a child, her mother would be so attendant to her if she had an injury, a boo-boo or a scrape, and her mother would pick her up and sit her on the bed and kiss her boo-boo, and then she would take her hand. And her mother would tell Mary, when it hurts, squeeze my hand and I'll tell you that I love you. And every time Mary squeezed her mother's hand, her mother would say, Mary, I love you. She would do it throughout her childhood, and Mary said sometimes she would even fake an injury because she just wanted to squeeze her mother's hand and hear those words, Mary, I love you. This strengthened her and emboldened her throughout her childhood and all into her young adulthood. And when Mary was an adult herself with her own children, she was in her late 30s when she got a phone call from her father who said, Mary, and she could hear the panic in his voice. Something's wrong with your mother. I don't know what's going on. Please come over. It was just a 10-minute drive, but it seemed to take forever. And when Mary arrived, she saw her father pacing in the living room and said that her mother, Grace Rose, was upstairs in the bedroom. She found her mother lying on the bed with her eyes closed and her hands on her belly and looking pale. Mary walked in and said, Mother, I'm here. And her mother whispered, Mary, is that you? Yes, Mom, I'm here. And her mother then asked a question that Mary was not expecting. As her mother said, Mary, am I going to die? Mary was shocked and paused and didn't know what to say. And then she thought, what would my mom say? And Mary said to her mom, Mom, I don't know if you're going to die, but if you need to, it's okay. I love you. And then her mom said, I am in so much pain. And Mary said, I'm taking your hand. And she did. She held her mom's hand and she said, squeeze my hand whenever it hurts. And I'll tell you I love you. There was a lot of hand squeezing and words of love over the next 2 years as Grace Rose struggled with ovarian cancer, eventually dying. But Mary and Grace Rose were held together by that beautiful childhood ritual that grounded them both in a connection of mutuality and empathy. I'm going to invite you into a moment of practice. Ask yourself, what are you feeling right now? What feelings are coming up? And if you want to speak it out loud to the air in the room, that's fine. Or if somebody else, or if you just want it to be silent within your hearts, that's fine. I need you to know that empathy is a choice. It's not something that happens by chance, like an unexpected arrival of flowers. It's a choice to regularly ask oneself, what am I feeling? It's a working, flexing, it's a stretching of the emotions like a muscle. And then allowing the feeling to flow and to let it pass through our heart, letting it soothe with transforming energies it pulses into our lives. With our emotions working, we have the capacity to understand how others are feeling, to make an authentic connection as we talk about our feelings. Oh, the comfort, the inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person, having neither to weigh thoughts nor measure words, but pouring them all right out, just as they are, chaff and grain together, certain that a faithful hand will take and sift them. Keep what is worth keeping, and then, with a breath of kindness, blow the rest away. Thank you, Dinah Maria Mulat Craik. She died of heart failure while preparing for her adopted daughter's wedding. She was 61 years old. Reportedly, her last words were, "Oh, if I could live 4 weeks longer." But no matter, no matter. The breath of kindness. This is empathy. Parents of all genders can do this. Best friends can do this, close friends and strangers too, and neighbors in churches, schools, and coffee shops, and driver ed classes, and sweaty gyms, YMCA, and golds across the country. We could be offering mentoring and coaching and empathy like we do with Pee Wee soccer and baseball, so that children learn it as quickly as their ABCs and as their little feet run toward the goals of life. We should offer brush-up courses on empathy for graduating seniors of all ages and set up free, open-air parks with comfy seats and empathic human beings, ready to sift through to our brokenness in the inner, soft, and tender spots. Our raw wounds need a place and arms of healing. We should be teaching empathy, friendship, mothering, or just being a kind, living, breathing blessing to one another. I truly believe this is the path to peace, what every human being yearns for. Being a blessing to one another. This is also how we live our first Unitarian Universalist principle, To honor the inherent worth and dignity is to give everyone the breath of kindness, the grace of empathic presence. May it be so, may it be so, and amen. Before we go into our closing hymn, I want to see your flowers. So I'm going to ask Joanne to let you turn on your cameras for a moment. If you all please, I want to see your flowers that you may have and hold them up. Put yourself on the grid, on the gallery view, and scroll the screen. Look at that. Look at that. The beauty, the grace. I can smell them if I close my eyes and imagine them. Yeah, such beauty and grace and flowers. And I'm actually, let's see if I can do this properly, going to now share with you the flowers that you have already given each other through your words as we transform. This is a word cloud, using the words that you gave me in this service. Art and happy and hopeful and hope and wonder and awe and ecstatic and pain and progress and wide. Awe of the world, art, alive, happy, joyful, world, delicate, peaceful, all those words I now give back to you in this image. I wish it was in person so much. Let us now sing our closing hymn.
Would you turn in your teal hymnals, please, to number 1021, 1021, Lean on Me. The words can also be found in your orders of service or on the screen. And it's okay to cut loose and clap along at home. 1, 2, ready, go. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'll ride up the road, I'll share a load if you just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you somebody to lean. One more time, just call on your brother when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
Will you join me as we unite our voices to recite the words to extinguish our chalice, words known within our hearts and can be found displayed upon your screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Oh, my beloved people, may you know what is in your hearts today. Love, affection, there may be fear and anger, there may be resentment or guilt. May you know, though, what is in your heart and find someone to share it with. Maybe open your hearts to hear what you need to hear from someone else. Let empathy be your grounding today and every day. Go forth in love and return again in empathy. Blessed be. Enjoy our postlude, and then we'll have our virtual coffee and tea.
In all of creations, all things great and small, you are the one that surpasses them all. More precious than any diamonds or pearls. They broke the mold when you came into this world, and I'm trying hard to figure it out, just how I ever did without the warmth of your smile, the heart of a child that's deep inside, leaves me purified. Your love is like a river, peaceful and deep. Your soul is like a secret that I could never keep. When I look into your eyes, I know that it's true. God must have spent a little more time on you. Your love is like a river, peaceful and deep. Your soul is like a secret that I could never keep. When I look into your eyes, I know that it's true. God must have spent a little more time on you.
My gratitude to Marty Bredick and Joanne Masterson for your wonderful hosting today. Thank you very, very much. You are welcome to give a wave to each other. Woohoo. Glenn, you have quite the beard. And thank you to Yvonne and to Mark and Dan Schatz and our guest vocalist as well, whose name has just gone out of my head. What a joy to see you all. Walton is going to be our breakout host today. And many congratulations. Ron, I see your mouth moving. Are you talking to us?
Ron, you're talking to us, but on mute.
Oh. Happy anniversary,
Yeah.
Dorothy.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Ron.
Happy anniversary, Ron and
Anniversary.
Dorothy.
Okay, so, folks, are we ready?
Thank you. Thank you.
There we are.
Quick reminder about our annual,
Dorothy is hiding as usual.
Aw,
Give her love.
and a quick reminder about our annual meeting, 5 p.m. the 16th, next week, right, Brenda?
yes, it is.
Oh, next Sunday at 5 p.m. and then on the 22nd at 3 p.m. What's happening, Tyler?
I don't see Tyler.
Tyler, but somebody, we need to have you all here to ordain Tyler on the 22nd at 3 p.m.
Yay,
That today?
The 22nd.
22nd. Okay,
I think Tyler is disappearing as we speak.
I think.
Great to see everyone.
Well, happy Mother's Day, everybody. I'm gonna set up breakout rooms.
Okay, thank you. Dave and Sally, congratulations on the new one.
I don't want to mess with it right now.
That was a beautiful service. That was such a beautiful service.
Thank you, Nan.
Really, really. It's just.
Fully agree. One of the best I've ever heard.
Thank you.
An entire box and a half of those.
I think
I went to bed last night.